Leela number 18 Divine Manifestations. Baba restores the sight of Vittal's grandfather. Vittal Yashwantrao Deshpande lived with his parents and grandparents in Dadar, Mumbai. A tragedy brought him to Baba's feet. His grandfather suddenly fell sick and gradually lost his sight. All sorts of remedies, treatments, doctors and Veds were tried, but of no avail, and he gradually became totally blind. Vittal was very fond of his grandfather and helped him to move around in the house. There lived in Bandra a Satpurush named Govind Rao Mankar. He was a devotee of Sai Baba. He met Vittal's grandfather and advised him to go to Shirdi and seek Baba's blessings. The grandfather was impressed by him and was determined to go to Shirdi. However, time and again a trip was planned, but for some reason or the other the trip was postponed. In 1916, Vittal was just 12 years old, and as his uncle was busy, it was decided that Vittal would take his grandfather to Shirdi. Before leaving, his parents repeatedly told Vittal to behave properly and take care of his grandfather. They reached Shirdi and went to the Dwarkamai. They took darshan and prostrated before Baba. "Give me ₹6 as dakshina," said Baba. Vittal thrust his hand into his pocket and found that he had a 10 rupee and a 5 rupee bill. He gave Baba the 10 rupee note, which he did not accept. Neither would he accept the 5 rupee note, nor would he give him change. Vittal tried again and again with the same result. "Give me ₹6, said Baba. So Vittal brought his grandfather to the Sabha Mandap below and seated him in a corner next to the wall. Vittal then went out to get change. But try as he may, no one gave him change. Frustrated and wondering how his grandfather was doing, he started crying. Suddenly, a well-built man stood before him. He had on a clean dhotar and a pagdi and puneri shoes. His forehead was smeared with sandalwood paste. Gently he asked, "Child, why are you crying?" Vittal told him how stubborn Baba was and his inability to get any change. Quietly he gave him the change. Vittal ran to the Dwarkamai and placed 6 rupees at Baba's feet. Baba said, "Daro mat beta, Allah acha karega, ab tumhara kaam ho gaya. Do not fear, my child, Allah will do good. Now your work is done." Vittal was astonished, but rather confused. He had not told Baba why he had come, nor had Baba asked him. He just stood there staring at Baba. Baba repeated the same words again. Still confused, he went to the corner where his grandfather was seated, but he was nowhere to be found. He searched the Sabha Mandap, but could not find him. So he ran through the village calling his grandfather by name, but he couldn't find him. Dejected and afraid, he started crying bitterly. He wondered if his grandfather had fallen or hurt himself, and lo, the same man stood before him. "Why are you crying now?" he asked gently. Through sobs, Vittal told him what had happened. "Your grandfather is seated on the steps of Satewada," he said, pointing in that direction. Vittal ran and found his grandfather happily eating sugarcane. Upset and frustrated, he said, "Why did you leave the place that I made you sit? Suppose you fell down and hurt yourself. How did you reach here?" His grandfather told him that as soon as he went to get the change, his sight started returning. "By the time you came back, I could see clearly, so I came to the Vada." Vittal was relieved to hear this. On his way back home, Vittal lost his cap and was afraid to tell his grandfather about it. Finally, they reached Dadar. His parents were waiting for their arrival. When he turned around, his father was missing. He collected the bags and walked slowly towards his parents. They eagerly questioned him about his trip. He mumbled something. Just then he saw his grandfather with a new cap. Vittal was filled with immense joy, for he finally got proof that his grandfather could really see. But who was the mysterious gentleman, and how did he know who my grandfather was? Vittal often visited Shirdi after Baba's Samadhi. He made it a point to attend the three major festivals. Vitthal never left Shirdi without Baba's permission. He had a unique way of doing this. When it was time for him to leave Shirdi, he went to the Samadhi Mandir, placed a coconut on Baba's Paduka. Then he bowed his head on the Paduka, saying, Baba, I am returning home with your permission. Once Vitthal and two other devotees, Damu Anna Rasne and Sakaram Shinde, left Shirdi without Baba's permission. They were in a hurry as Damu Anna had an important meeting to attend. The vehicle was Shinde's car and he was driving it. They had nearly reached Nagar when a cobbler on a bicycle came in front of the vehicle. A terrible accident occurred and the cobbler was thrown off his bike and he sustained a head injury. He lost consciousness and there was no water to give the injured man. But they had Baba's Udi, so they gave it to him and he regained consciousness. They took him to the hospital and there they found that he had broken his thigh bone. Subsequently, he became all right and was discharged. This was a lesson for all of them, and Vitthal never again left Shirdi without Baba's permission. This Leela was taken from Sai Sagar, Deepavali Ank, 2001.